Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem, as I get hair out of my face. So, as people are still coming in, this is fabulous. Since it's the last Sunday in July, I thought we'd do a little something a little different that hopefully people who are watching virtually can join us in. It's a little bit of a getting to know you welcome. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and we'll see if anyone writes in the comment section, and for us here in the congregation, we'll raise our hands or yell out, or whatever you feel like doing, okay? So, the first question is, who here has a dog? Fabulous, fabulous. Who has a cat? Good, good. Any comments yet, Lorianne? No? All right. Who has an evergreen tree in their yard? Okay. Who likes coffee? You notice I didn't raise my hand. Who likes tea? Yay! See, a woman of taste. Excellent. Who is looking forward to hot chocolate weather? Absolutely. Good, good. That's wonderful. Well, you can continue these questions and conversation at the end of our service in the fellowship time. In the meantime, welcome. And actually looking at you all here today reminds me that I did want to say thank you for wearing your masks. That is a building policy that we are still encouraging right now with, that Delta variant wandering around. And so, yes, please continue to wear your masks. If it gets really hot, 117 again, we'll obviously take them out. We don't want anyone passing out, but I appreciate that. Appreciate you wearing your masks. Thank you, and welcome.
Our opening hymn today is number 38, Morning is Broken. Please rise in body and or spirit. You may sing softly or hum along. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's soft play. Praise elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
It's by far the hardest thing I've ever done, to be so in love with you and so alone. Follow me where I go, what I do and who I know. Make it part of you to be a part of me. Follow me up and down, all the way and all around. Take my hand and say you'll follow me. It's been long on my mind, you know it's been a long, long time. I'll try to find a way that I can make you understand the way I feel about you, just how much I need you to be there where I can talk to you when there's no one else around. Follow me where I go, what I do and who I know. Make it part of you to be a part of me. Follow me up and down, all the way and all around. Take my hand and say you'll follow me. You see, I'd like to share my life with you and show you things that I've seen, places that I'm going to, places where I've been. To have you there beside me and never be alone, and all the time that you're with me, then we'll be at home. Follow me where I go, what I do and who I know. Make it part of you to be a part of me. Follow me up and down, all the way and all around. Take my hand and say you'll follow me. Take my hand and say you'll follow me.
Mysterious source of love, moving within and between and among us, upholding and connecting all, the living, the dead, and the generations yet to come. We give thanks for the web of all creation, strands interwoven, and for the gifts of love which can never be ungiven or unraveled. Those are words of Reverend Molly Gordon. Please join me and each other in speaking our affirmation. Love is our doctrine, compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration, build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes and serve the needs of our world. Each week, we light 3 chalices. The first is for this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. We light our second chalice for our partner church in Šimunfalva, Transylvania, Romania. And we light our third chalice for our children and youth in religious education and all around the world. In the words of Amy Webb, We light these flames for the art of sacred unknowing. Humbled by all that we cannot fathom in this time, we come into the presence of what we do know, perhaps the only thing we can ever know, that love is now and forever the only answer to everything and everyone in every moment. Please sing the flame into life.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Oh, I'm Lily Walker, and I'm the Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at the church, and I would like to invite all the children down now for the Time for All Ages. Now have you guys gather right here because we have a camera so the people that are at home can still see you, okay? Hi Scarlett, hi Zoe, hi Raleigh, hi Az. Oh, hi Jocelyn kids, I haven't seen you guys in a while. Welcome everyone. Hi AJ. Hi guys. Owen, right? Good to see you, bud. All right, well welcome everybody. I'm so glad to see you here today. Today I'm going to tell you a little story from this book, and it's called The Living World of Plants, a book for children and students of nature by Dr. Gilbert Grauman. And then we're going to all go outside into Bateman Woods, and we are going to go for a little plant walk and learn about plants, and then we're going to do a very special craft together that I know you guys are going to love. Okay, and I promise you're going to have a ton of fun, but first I want to tell you this little story, okay? And I promise you it's really short, okay? So, a wise man who still knew the secrets of the origin of the world related, "From a giant arose the heaven and earth. From his bones the rocks and stones, from his blood the rivers and the seas and the brooks, and from his flesh the crumbly soil, from his hair the grass, and the clouds from his thoughts, and the wind from his breath. But from the heart of the giant arose the sun, and even today the body of the earth is sustained by the sun, as by a warmth-giving and loving heart." And after listening to this tale, the children laughed and said, "That's a wonderful story. Tell us more. Tell us more." And the old man continued, "After man came on the earth, the plants were transformed. God willed that men should see, as in a mirror, a picture of themselves, both perfect as well as imperfect in the plants, which serve them for nourishment and for healing. And for this reason, the plants became so many and so different." In other words, according to this legend, the reason why there are so many different varieties of plants in the vegetable kingdom is because there are equally as many different and unique varieties of humans in the human kingdom. The plant world is a reflection of the human world, and in some sense, there's a one-to-one correspondence. And so I wonder if you thought about it and had to choose one plant that best represented your beautiful and unique self here on earth, what plant would you choose? It's something to think about, and because I heard this a while ago, I thought about it, and I chose a daylily because they bloom in very humble places and only for a brief, miraculous moment. Thanks be, and may all beings benefit. All right, now let's go have some fun outside, okay? Yay! Okay, wait, this way, guys, this way.
Wait. So we are going to resurrect our wonderful love arch tradition. So for those that don't know, hold on. Those at the end of the aisle, if you could stand up and raise your arms, maybe don't touch now because we're still taking precautions. Just think your thoughts over the ark, your loving thoughts, and then we'll sing the kids out. Wherever you walk, walk in love. Wherever you walk, walk in peace. Wherever you walk, walk in beauty all around you. Our hearts go with you.
Nice. It's nice to have the love arch back, isn't it? It's great. Compassion. Everyone gives and receives compassion from others when there is a loss, a death. Sometimes the loss is sudden. A building collapses out of age. A car turning a corner too quickly. A wave rolling under a log. Sometimes the loss is after an extended illness or a life well lived, where death is looked upon as a friend. At each of these times, there are condolences. People say soothing words to the bereaved, showing compassion to another. There are many ways to embody compassion: the want to help the hurting, heal the wounded, stop the pain. Sometimes the most compassionate act is to listen, to sit by the person and just be there. Another presence, another witness to this part of life. Think of someone or a group of people that needs this compassion, this witness to the suffering of the world. Mentally wrap your arms around that person. It might be yourself. Wrap your arms around them, hold them, and tell them you love them. Compassion is our way. And gratitude. In the midst of life, we are in death. Yet in the midst of death, we are in life. So often in the experience of a loss, new life is found. It may be a flower blooming, a sparrow chirping. It may be a newfound friend or a reconnection with a far-off relative. A time will come when the world looks fresh and new and glimpses of joy appear. Let us take the time to notice those glimpses and be grateful. Grateful for song, grateful for clouds passing by, grateful for the life that we experience. Mandy Bray writes that she would like us to light a candle for her mother, Mary Bray, longtime member here with her husband. Mary is moving to Georgia in the next couple of weeks, and Mandy and Mary and a couple of their family will be here next Sunday, August 1st. so we have a chance to say goodbye to Mary before she heads east. Compassion and gratitude are our way. May it be so.
And one way we stay connected to each other is by sharing our joys and concerns. You may write them in online. If you go to the home page, click on worship, and you'll see joys and concerns. Click on it. You can read what others have written and add your own.
Our pastoral hymn is 123, Spirit of Life. Please remain seated. Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us, it is right to remember the names of those who gave us strength in this choice of living. It is right to name the power of hard lives well lived. We share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion. They too were strengthened by what had gone before. They too were drawn on by the vision of what might come to be. Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into the dust and have not disappeared. They are still with us. The lives they lived hold us steady. Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands, their hearts. We take them with us, and with them choose the deeper path of living. Let us think for a moment of those who gave us strength in our lives.
This past May 8th would have been my mom's 85th birthday. As it neared, I realized I sort of wanted to shout it out for some reason, to let everyone know she would have been 85. And so I did what we do in 2021. I put it on social media. The responses back were heartwarming. People who knew her posted comments, and it was really nice. Memorial for a beloved person. For me, that love was represented by a loss, but it was sweeter for it. And it got me thinking back to a time. I remember it was a day in September, though the actual date escapes me now. I would have been about 17, I think that's right, and I was home. It was like mid-morning. My mom had gone to work, and my dad was out in his shed puttering. Nanny, my grandmother, was in her room, but I don't think the caregivers who came a couple of times a week were there, because I remember feeling alone in the house. Anyway, I was in the dining room, and the phone rang. The nearest one was in the kitchen. I went in and picked it up. I'm not sure who was on the phone. It may have been one of the daughters. And I don't know if they asked to speak to me directly, although I was the person they wanted to talk to. I know I held the phone up to my ear, and I know that I listened. So I'm not sure if I said anything. The next memory I have is I am on my hands and knees in the dining room. And there is this eerie, animalistic wailing sound all around me. And then I realize it's coming from me. I'm making that sound. And I can't stop. I don't know what to do. Of course, I did stop at some point. Other phone calls were made by people, so both my mom and dad knew that Betty, my beloved piano teacher, had died. 6 months almost to the day that her husband and beloved friend Charlie had died. Although I hadn't known either of them very long, we had all connected very strongly. You know how you do sometimes with people in your life? And so to have both of them die within a year was tough. After Betty's death, and even after the funeral, I spent many days in my room doing nothing, just sitting on my bed. I spent so much time alone that my mom actually got a little worried and wondered if something should be done, but my dad reassured her that it would work itself out, and so just to let me be, and so for better or worse, that's what they did. And it did work out. I recovered and went on with life, though I didn't touch the piano until just 3 years ago. That was my first experience with grief. The kind of grief that tears at your very soul and leaves you raw, open, vulnerable. And yet through grieving, the world and life becomes brighter, sharper in focus, more precious. This past Christmas, a coworker gave me a small Christmas gift. When she said she had something for me, I thought, oh, that's nice. Probably some chocolate, you know, the type of thing that coworkers give to each other to kind of show the holiday spirit. But no. She had said she had found this thing and she thought of me, and so got it. She said that normally she wouldn't give something like this, and she hoped I wouldn't think it was weird. So with a little bit of trepidation, I reached into the box and pulled out a beautiful white porcelain flower. But it wasn't just any flower. It was a lotus. Now, you might well be thinking, oh, that's nice, Sarah. I like peonies myself. Or you might already understand the significance of the lotus. I admit that although I was aware of the story of Buddha picking a lotus and one of his disciples nodding, and so that person became Buddha's heir, I didn't know that much about the lotus or what the different colors represented, so I looked it up. Turns out, the lotus has frequently been associated with spirituality, in part because of its daily cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Colors can represent different things, like a yellow lotus can mean spiritual ascension. A pink can represent the nature of the Buddha. Red can mean compassion and agape love. And white can represent purity of mind and grace. In Buddhism, the journey of the lotus is said to mirror our own spiritual journeys. The idea is that just like the lotus, our lives are mired in suffering, or samsara, and our spirits start out like a lotus bud, tightly closed and buried in deep in the muddy dark. It is through life's experiences that we grow out of the mud and open up to the sunlight. In other words, it is through suffering, perseverance, and hope we can trust in the process that leads to peace and calm. One of the bigger losses for us humans is the death of a loved one. No matter what type of relationship we had with them, their death affects us. Sometimes we may not even be aware of this at first. There's a famous Buddhist story of a mother being so bereaved by her child's death that she goes to Buddha seeking help. He says to get a mustard seed from a household that has not experienced death and bring that mustard seed back to him, and he would bring her child back from the dead. Try as she might, she could not find a single household that had not experienced death, and so could not bring that mustard seed back to the Buddha. For me, one that has seemed to have spurned a life-changing experience in my life is the death of my mother 6 years ago. I haven't talked a lot about my mom. Maybe that's a subject for another time, but sufficient to say she was an important person in my life on many levels, including my spiritual life. Although she grew up in mainstream Protestant culture and church-going, I think she would have described herself more spiritual than religious, definitely agreeing with UU fourth principle of a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. She herself would also have agreed with one of the main sources of inspiration that UU traditionally draws from: direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. Apparently, I wasn't to have her in my whole life, as she passed away 6 years ago after a short experience with gynecological cancer. Although many would have said she lived a long life, as far as she and her family were concerned, it was not long enough. And so here I was, once again, on familiar territory, of coming to terms with the loss of someone very meaningful in my life. Recently, in Soul Matters Month, the theme was about becoming. Becoming who you are, becoming who you aren't, questioning of can you foresee what you are becoming? In among all of this was a thought. Spiritual journeys begin with a separation, a goodbye or walking away. Is there any truth in that? Well, it does make me recall an experience I had this summer before my mom's passing. An experience I'd forgotten about until just recently. I was in my backyard or garden. It was a nice summer day, and I wasn't doing anything, not watering or pulling weeds, just being there in nature, watching red-throated hummingbirds whiz by, looking up at the billowy clouds, noticing the bumblebees enjoying the sweet lavender as much as I, when suddenly this thing happened, this experience. One might say mystical. It was though I was seeing, smelling, feeling everything around me through clearer vision, and felt how viscerally connected to everything I was. Literally connected. Not scientifically, of, oh, this leaf has hydrogen ions, as does this bird, as does this cloud, as do I. No, it was different, more physical or sensual, a feeling of something more, as though this actually was the way life was supposed to be experienced. Without me knowing it, all this time a veil had been drawn between me and true reality. That veil had been pulled down, and I was in awe of the majesty and sacredness of existing. The spell broke after a few minutes, and though I was intrigued by what had happened, soon everyday life took over once more. As I say, that was the summer before my mom's death, and after her death, I went through the initial grieving process and thought I was doing a pretty good job continuing my life. Then November 9th, 2016 happened. And I, as did many people concerned with the election, turned to a faith community for support. In my case, it was here, UUCS. I thought I had come for social justice reasons, and although, of course, those are important, what I slowly realized was that I had come to be more aware and in tune with what I now call my spiritual journey. Over time, my mom's death kept coming up. It was as though her death was a portal to my spiritual awareness and path. It seemed rather odd to me that sadness could also be a source of such joy. I'm not the first person to come to this type of realization. Recently, I was reading a book entitled Reflections on Grief and Spiritual Growth, edited by Andrew J. Weaver and Howard W. Stone. And in it are recollections from many people from various walks of life who have had some loss of some kind in their life and how it affected them spiritually. Though many of their stories take a possibly stronger Christian view that some of us may be comfortable with at first, there is a common truth of experience in all the reflections, and something to compare to our own stories of loss and spirituality. In the book, pastoral theologian S. Bruce Vonham is quoted as defining grief as essentially love under the condition of absence. To ignore the absence of our beloved is to deny death and all that makes grief grievous. We experience grief as an absence that is simultaneously a presence, and a presence that is simultaneously an absence. I like that. An absence that is simultaneously a presence, and a presence that is simultaneously an absence. I can relate to that. And also, that kind of describes being aware of your spirituality, God, if you will, or the great sacred mystery. A presence, connection that does not have a tangible sense to it. If you think about beginning of the religion Christianity, it could be interpreted as essentially starting because of a death, and the grieving of that death, and the sensation of being connected beyond death. One of the most important parts of my spiritual path has been and continues to be my involvement with UUCS. Not only the volunteer work that is available here, or the groups in the adult RE, but also connections with other spiritual beings, such as yourselves, that are having a human experience and are on your own spiritual journeys. Like the White Lotus, I feel a rebirth, an openness to the love that is all around us, an openness and curiosity to new experiences, and an increasing awareness of the beauty of this world and all the life within it, including us humans. During the fall of 2020, while we were all dealing with the pandemic and social isolation, I was feeling the loss of my mother deeply. But not only missing her presence, but having some of the same anxious feelings or feelings of expectancy, and at the same time the lack of control of a situation. Much like the feelings I had during the last month, and certainly the last days of my mother's life. I turned to a friend I had made here at UUCS, someone I know who has had loss in their life and has volunteered with hospice, specializing in the grief process, Lisa Laramone. And she said I could share with you her name and the words she wrote to me. It sounds like you are coming to terms with some of the layers of grief and how it's totally connected to everything else. It's quite a process and well worth investigating. You're wise to allow and encourage yourself in this, even though it can be as painful as it is illuminating. It's really all the same path. Your mom's death, your spiritual path, all leading you to this present place where your previous experience of coping with uncertainty is your newfound and more familiar strength. How we grieve is how we live. Hopefully, that's with self-compassionate acceptance of changes that we can't control, along with a curiosity to feel whatever comes up. That's how we learn how to live, how to die, how to accept that everyone dies, no matter how much we love them. Thank you, Lisa. for these wise words. What I'm thinking is that it's all there within us. Call it knowing the soul, call it connecting to the sacred mystery, call it faith, call it what you will. In the Bible, Luke 23:46 says, "Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit." Jesus was to have said that on the cross. Even at death, he was accepting, surrendering to the experience of his spiritual journey. Sometimes it takes a loss to realize the connection to each other. Learn how to live, how to die, how to accept that everyone dies, no matter how much we love them. May I continue to learn this as I continue on my spiritual journey. I invite you now to settle in and listen to a poem by Tibetan Buddhist Yisha Songjo, who lived around 757 to 817 CE. She was known as Victorious Ocean of Knowledge, and though had many adventures in her life, eventually became known as a female Buddha. Here is one of her poems to meditate on. Listen, O brothers and sisters, you who have mastered the teaching. If you recognize me, Queen of the Lake of Awareness, who encompasses both emptiness and form, know that I live in the minds of all beings who live. Know that I live in the body of mind and of the field of the senses. That the 12 kinds of matter are only my bones and my skin. We are not two, yet you look for me outside. When you find me within yourself, your own naked mind, that single awareness will fill all worlds. Then the joy of the one will hold you like a lake. Its fish with gold-seen eyes will grow many and fat. Hold to that knowledge with pleasure, and the creative will be your winds. You will leap through the green meadows of earthly appearance and enter the sky fields and vanish. Amen.
We support UUCS through pledges, time, and connections with one another. We also support the Salem community with donations to the Marion Polk Food Share. Each month, we share our UUCS monetary donations with an organization that exemplifies our principles. For July, we are supporting Oregon Black Pioneers. This is Oregon's only historical society dedicated to preserving and presenting the experiences of African Americans statewide. Inspired by the courage and hopes of Blacks who made a home in Oregon despite discrimination and hardship, this historical society researches and shares with the public Black pioneer voices, stories, and culture. In the words of Thurgood Marshall, the first Black American Supreme Court Justice, in recognizing the humanity of our fellow human beings, we pay ourselves the highest tribute. Cash donations or checks made out to UUCS should be placed in the labeled baskets out in the foyer when you leave the sanctuary. Don't forget. And for the online audience, visit our website and click on the donate button and follow the instructions. Thank you so much for supporting this congregation and our wider community.
Peaceful valleys, animals and children asking me, tell the story that you told of sailors drinking tea. Tell the one about the man who saddled up the wind, Pegasus and flying fish and woodmen made of tin. A kid knows what he wants to be before he's 9 or 10. Cowboys, clowns, and men of war, and someone else's friend. But 9 grows into big boy's pants, and then to scars and pain. 20's fast and hard as nails, but doesn't come again. There's days to fall and days to rise, and days for making haste. Days for seeking out yourself, but no days you can waste. Nighttime's filled with love so good, it aches to rest it down. Endless hallways dark with sleep, and rivers dark with sound. Peaceful valleys, animals and children asking me, tell the story that you told of sailors drinking tea. Tell the one about the man who saddled up the wind, Pegasus and flying fish and woodmen made of tin. Children climbing on my arms and pigeons on my head. Get thee up, my little man, and dream a dream instead. Dream a dream of rocking chairs and flying through the night. Then dream until the morning's gone and dark turn to light. And come and get your daddy if he hasn't blown away. Rock him in your children's hands and help him find his way. Take him to your hiding place and let him come inside. He'll never tell your secret. Cross my heart and hope to die. Peaceful valleys, animals and children asking me, tell the story that you told of sailors drinking tea. Tell the one about the man who saddled up the wind, Pegasus and flying fish and woodmen made of tin. Pegasus and flying fish and woodmen made of tin.
Before we extinguish the chalices, we transfer the flame to the social justice lantern as a symbolic reminder of the love and hope we carry out into the world. As the theologian Reinhold Niebuhr wrote, "Nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime. Therefore, we are saved by hope. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Therefore, we are saved by love." So now is the time for some announcements. As you know, and our listening audience, we have one service. It's at 10:30 in the morning, and registration is still required. So please go online and register and come and see us. It's great to see all of you and those children. Wow. We will have in-person fellowship time. Yay! We encourage you to leave the sanctuary, leave the foyer, and go into the fellowship hall, and even better, go out the door and onto the patio where there's, an open sky and lots of circulating air. Unfortunately, we are not serving coffee and refreshments, so just imagine them, but I think probably your company and conversation will be food for your souls for the time being. We'll start the coffee in the fall. All right, what else? Yes, connections. Connection groups are starting to form, and as you can see, that there are numerous times. You can read that. You can go online, go to that website, and please sign up. They are wonderful groups. I've been in one for several years, and I'm leading one with my husband. So it is a way to meet people, individuals, small gatherings, maybe by Zoom for a while, but maybe in person, and to discuss some really interesting, evocative, inspiring topics. And then news of the community. The reminder, the women's group will not meet over the summer, but they will resume in the fall. And we are very apologetic that our voicemail system was down. So if you were a person that needed to leave a message and I don't know what you heard, maybe nothing, but it's been resurrected, and try again. Persistence always pays off. And I think that will do it. You can click on to the news of the community on the website and find out more. Okay, thank you.
Closing hymn will be 1064 in the blue hymnal, Blue Boat Home. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way through the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
In the words of Reverend Robert Doss, for all who see God, may God go with you. For all who embrace life, may life return your affection. For all who seek a right path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step. Let us join hands in body or spirit and say these words together. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come.